that Charlie did indeed have an autopsy. I wanted to let you guys know that because I saw a lot of rumors that were circulating that he did not have an autopsy. That has been confirmed. An autopsy did take place.
When Ice Cube broke his silence, the world stopped. Not because he dropped a new track, not because he announced another tour, but because of what he claimed to have seen. The internet thought it was another rumor. Another wild conspiracy rolling out of the chaos surrounding Charlie Kirk's mysterious death. But when Ice Cube went live on Instagram with the words "they lied about the autopsy," the world collectively lost its breath. His voice was calm, but his eyes told a different story. This wasn't entertainment. This was a man who looked like he'd read something he wasn't supposed to. "They changed the report," he said, leaning into the camera. "I seen the first draft. Then I seen the new one. They don't match." That was all it took. Within an hour, hashtag Charlie Kirk autopsy and hashtag Ice Cube leaks were trending in 20 countries. Screenshots started flying across Telegram and X, alleged documents, blacked out FBI memos, and what looked like a forensic report, signed by a doctor who doesn't exist. What started as a celebrity statement suddenly became a federal level scandal, because if Ice Cube was telling the truth, if the autopsy really was altered, then the question wasn't just who killed Charlie Kirk. It was, why is the FBI protecting whoever did? Even crazier, insiders claim Cube wasn't supposed to have that file in the first place. Someone from inside law enforcement, allegedly a friend of a friend from Cube's old political projects, sent it to him. UNREDACTED. And according to those leaks, the original report didn't list cardiac failure as the cause of death like the official version said. It said respiratory trauma consistent with chemical interference. Chemical interference. What chemical? What interference? When journalists tried to reach the pathologist named on the leaked draft, the response was simple: that individual no longer works here. And then the clinic website disappeared completely. Within 12 hours, Ice Cube's live stream vanished. His Instagram went down. His X account went private. But the clip, the one that started everything, had already spread across millions of phones. His last words before the feed cut out: "You don't change an autopsy unless you're hiding something." Then static, now. 3 days later, the FBI's silence is louder than ever. Journalists are being threatened. Forums are being scrubbed. And new documents are surfacing, ones that suggest this wasn't just a medical cover-up. It was pre-planned. And if the rumors are true, the truth behind Charlie Kirk's death might not only destroy reputations, it might expose the darkest deal ever made between politics, power, and the entertainment industry itself, before the world turned upside down with Ice Cube's revelation. Charlie Kirk's death had already felt wrong. The official story painted it as tragic but ordinary, a sudden cardiac failure at home, surrounded by family, nothing suspicious, no foul play. The news came fast, the tributes faster. Conservative outlets mourned him as a patriot, while mainstream media largely kept its distance. But under the surface, people close to Kirk were whispering, quietly, fearfully, because nothing about his final days added up according to friends. Charlie had been paranoid in the weeks before his death, avoiding phone calls, canceling events, and confiding in one person no one expected. Ice Cube. Their friendship wasn't new, but few people knew how deep it went. Years back, they'd met during a tense panel on political polarization in Los Angeles. It was supposed to be another staged clash between celebrity activism and conservative ideology. But what happened backstage that night became the foundation of one of the strangest alliances Hollywood had ever seen. Multiple sources claim that after the cameras stopped rolling, Kirk approached Cube privately, saying, "You don't trust the system either, do you?" Cube allegedly laughed at first, thinking it was sarcasm. But Kirk pressed on. You've seen how they move. You know how narratives get built. They control both sides, man, left and right. That conversation, according to insiders, led to months of late-night calls, encrypted messages, and even one quiet meeting at a Beverly Hills recording studio. One no one on either side of the political spectrum ever knew happened. Charlie Kirk wasn't reaching out for friendship. He was reaching out because he was scared. He'd reportedly discovered what he called the Transfer Project, a digital influence operation allegedly tied to multiple think tanks, including ones that funded Turning Point USA. He believed someone inside the organization had begun funneling personal data, donors, email lists, psychological profiles into a private intelligence firm with European connections. And here's where it gets darker. Documents later leaked by the group known as Faith Node 7 contained references to faith resonance testing, the same term linked months earlier to the Halo Initiative. The one Chappelle had hinted at was Kirk tied to the same network. In one leaked voicemail to an associate, allegedly recorded 2 days before his death, Charlie's voice can be heard trembling. They said it's all for God, but it's data, man. It's all data. Every sermon, every donation, every prayer. They're measuring belief. And they said I wasn't loyal enough to the light contract. The light contract, no one knew what that meant until Ice Cube spoke out. Because, according to him, those very words were blacked out in the original autopsy report. The report Cube says he saw wasn't like any government file. It had multiple signatories, including 2 agencies that had nothing to do with pathology, one from Homeland Security, and another simply labeled Division 7. That same label appeared on dozens of redacted emails later traced to a private consulting firm contracted by the FBI called Sentinel Analysis Group. Based out of Virginia, a firm whose registered agents have backgrounds in counterintelligence, behavioral science, and faith-based radicalization monitoring. When journalists reached out to the FBI for clarification, the response was chillingly vague. Certain investigations remain ongoing and classified. We can neither confirm nor deny any connection to private subcontractors. But the real question wasn't who wrote the report. It was who changed it, because buried inside the file Cube showed on livestream, before it was deleted, was a digital timestamp, proving that the report was edited 3 days after Kirk's cause of death was officially announced, and that edit came from an IP address registered to, you guessed it, Quantico, Virginia. That's what Cube meant when he said, "I seen the first draft." He wasn't bluffing. He wasn't speculating. He had the metadata. When independent tech analysts verified the file structure, they confirmed the document had been rewritten, a second PDF layered over the first, with key terms replaced, the original line. Chemical interference resulting in respiratory trauma. The altered version. Cardiac arrhythmia due to pre-existing conditions. Someone had erased the evidence, and they'd done it from inside federal servers. That's when everything started. Spiraling. Online watchdog groups began connecting dots that mainstream outlets refused to touch. A doctor listed as a secondary examiner in the autopsy. Dr. Linda Myers didn't exist in any state medical registry. The supposed county coroner's office listed in the file had no record of handling the case, and perhaps most disturbing of all, the funeral home that handled Kirk's remains was bought out 2 weeks prior by a shell company tied to Sentinel Analysis Group. How deep did this go? Ice Cube hinted at that during his now deleted stream. They didn't want people knowing what was in his system, because it wasn't natural. Whatever it wasn't something he took on his own. Then his voice dropped lower, and the FBI knew. They knew before the body even got to the lab. That single statement broke the internet. Cube wasn't just implying a cover-up. He was implying collusion. screenshots began circulating of old emails between Kirk and his assistant, in which he mentioned feeling sick after a dinner and saying his hands wouldn't stop shaking. Claimed he'd been experimenting with a new nootropic compound being marketed to conservative influencers under the guise of mental clarity supplements, but one pharmaceutical insider who spoke anonymously to Rolling Truth magazine said the formula wasn't harmless, it was experimental. A stimulant derivative once tested by military contractors under the codename CALIX-13, a compound later banned due to its unpredictable effects on human respiration. Sound familiar? The original autopsy listed respiratory trauma consistent with chemical interference. Now the world had a match. But what made this story truly terrifying wasn't the science. It was the silence. Every person connected to the case, doctors, staffers, family, friends suddenly stopped speaking. Phones went dead. Legal representatives issued identical statements, no comment, pending federal review. Yet somehow, one person still refused to shut up. A janitor at the Scottsdale facility, where the autopsy was supposedly performed, posted anonymously on Reddit. They moved the body twice. First to the main room, then to the basement lab. Cameras were turned off. After that, men in suits came in. I never saw the body again. That post was deleted within an hour, but not before Ice Cube reposted it with the caption, "You can't erase everyone," with the caption, "You can't erase everyone." And maybe he's right, because even with the FBI denying involvement and major outlets calling it disinformation, something about this case refuses to die. The leaks keep coming. The contradictions keep growing, and now, a newly uncovered set of surveillance photos allegedly pulled from inside the autopsy facility itself show men carrying sealed containers out the back door. One of those men, according to facial recognition software, matches an FBI field agent previously stationed at Quantico. So if the autopsy was clean, if it was normal, if it was all just an unfortunate tragedy, why are there federal agents carrying evidence in the dead of night? Why did the FBI lock the entire case file behind a classified firewall-labeled faith note, tier red? And most importantly, why was Ice Cube the one who had to tell us? By the third day after Ice Cube's live stream vanished, the entire story had turned into a wildfire no one could contain. Cable networks wouldn't touch it, but social media was boiling over. Every hour brought a new leak, a new rumor. A new video claiming to hold the real truth about Charlie Kirk's death. But one video, one blurry 10-second clip changed everything. It was posted at 3:11 a.m. by an anonymous account called @ShadowNode, and it showed two things that no one could explain: a metal gurney and a hand unmistakably alive, twitching under the white autopsy sheet. The video was filmed inside what appeared to be a morgue white tile walls, cold fluorescent lights, and in the corner of the frame, a clock showing the date. March 17th, the same day Charlie Kirk's autopsy was allegedly completed, within minutes. The clip was shared millions of times before being removed from every platform simultaneously. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all purged in sync, as if they'd been waiting for it, and yet, people had already mirrored it. Across encrypted sites, that was the moment public panic turned into collective obsession. For years, Charlie Kirk had been the face of a powerful, well-funded conservative empire, Turning Point USA, a movement wrapped in patriotism, God, and personal freedom. But in private, leaked texts between Kirk and one of his producers suggested he'd been terrified of something called the second light. In one message, Kirk wrote, "They said I'd see the light twice. First, for faith. Second, for truth. If I talk about it, they'll erase both." No one knew what that meant until another leak surfaced. A private memo, reportedly from inside the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Division, was leaked to independent journalist Lila Moreno. It described a project called FaithNode A Behavioral mapping system designed to monitor the intersection between spiritual influence and political persuasion. The memo referenced a sub-project. Light Phase 2, Subject CK. Subject CK, Charlie Kirk. The document's authenticity was never confirmed, but the detail was too specific to ignore. According to the text, Subject CK had been exposed to resonance misling, a form of experimental psychological conditioning. The file's closing line read, "Subsequent monitoring discontinued due to fatal interference. Recommend reclassification. Fatal interference." The exact phrase Ice Cube said he'd seen on the first autopsy draft. That's when the investigation turned from mysterious to criminal. Cube's team, a mix of journalists, hackers, and one unnamed whistleblower, began releasing what they called the Zero Files. These were high-resolution scans of internal memos, encrypted emails, and partial autopsy logs. Each file had the same watermark in the corner, Z0 node. Read, and the third file in the drop hit the hardest. It contained a series of photographs, not from the morgue, but from a private laboratory in Scottsdale, taken just hours before Kirk's body was transferred. The images showed tubes of blood, samples labeled B. Calyx 13, that name. Again, Calyx-13, the same compound military. Contractors were caught testing in experimental cognitive trials years earlier, in the original Halo leaks. Calyx-13 was described as a chemical agent used to enhance influence receptivity by stimulating mirror neuron networks. In plain English, a substance that made people believe more easily. That was the true horror of it. Charlie Kirk wasn't just poisoned. He was experimented on when journalists cross-referenced the barcode from the sample labels in the Zero Files. They traced them back to a biomedical company headquartered in Zurich, Volaris Systems, the same firm connected to the Halo Sphere project that Dave Chappelle had exposed months earlier. And then, almost poetically, another name surfaced on the shipment log: Erica France Kirk, Charlie's own wife, according to the manifest. Erica's signature authorized the shipment of biotesting compounds from Voller is to an Arizona wellness retreat, the same building the FBI later claimed was a faith rehabilitation center. That discovery detonated across social media like a bomb. Erica knew trended for 2 straight days. People began flooding her Instagram with accusations. You sold him out. What's in the light contract? Who's running the second light? Her account went private within hours, but just when the internet thought it had found the villain, Ice Cube returned and flipped the entire narrative again. He posted a single video on X, no caption, no HASHTAGS. It opened with Cube sitting in a dark room, papers scattered across a desk. He spoke slowly, quietly. Everybody wants to point fingers, but y'all don't understand. This wasn't Erica. She tried to stop it. The people behind this don't have faces. They got departments. Then he held up a page, blurry, redacted, but the header was visible. FBI Div 7, Resonance Oversight. He said, they used him. They used her. They used me. All of us. Seconds later, the video cut to static. Cube's account disappeared. Again, but the damage was done. Investigators began looking into Division 7, a unit so secret most FBI agents claimed they'd never heard of it. Yet leaked correspondence between Division 7 officials and the Department of Homeland Security confirmed a real connection. One of those emails, timestamped the day before Kirk's death, simply read, "Proceed with calibration. Ensure subject exposure complete before termination of phase." Termination of phase. People started asking the question no one wanted to say aloud. Did the government kill Charlie Kirk as part of an influence experiment gone wrong? That's when the first eyewitness came forward, a man identifying himself as Dr. Samuel Grant, claiming to be a forensic assistant at the Scottsdale facility. Reached out to independent reporters through an encrypted server. In a voice recording later released by the online collective Ghost League, he said, "There were 2 reports, one that went to the press and one that went to Washington. The Washington one had 4 pages we weren't allowed to print. One of those pages had the word recalibration written on it, not cause of death. Just that one word, recalibration." He went missing 2 days later. The next morning, an anonymous Dropbox folder appeared online titled grantwitness.zip. Inside were lab photos of 2 sets of fingerprints, Charlie Kirk's and someone else's, on the autopsy table, when digital forensics experts ran them through public databases. They matched a known government consultant, Lucas Vane, former contractor for Sentinel Analysis Group, that same Sentinel that handled faith resonance testing for the FBI. Every thread, every detail, every leak tied back to one place, Quantico. By the end of the week, Ice Cube's silence became deafening. Supporters speculated he'd been detained. Others claimed he'd fled the country. But one post from an unverified account allegedly connected to his team appeared briefly on Telegram. "Cube is safe. The files are safe. The second light is real." The post vanished after 20 minutes. But not before screenshots spread everywhere. And that's when the first twist dropped. One that flipped the story upside down. A high-ranking FBI official, speaking anonymously to a Reuters reporter, finally addressed their remorse. Division 7 does exist, the official said, but not the way people think. It's not about faith or influence. It's containment. Something got out. The reporter pressed for clarification, but the official refused to elaborate, ending with a single line: "You're all asking the wrong questions. It's not what killed him, it's what he took with him. What he took with him. What he took with him." Hours later, another file surfaced. A hard drive image recovered from Charlie Kirk's home office, marked C.K. Mirback. The contents were heavily corrupted, but fragments revealed a director-abelled Halo 7 phase RED resonance failsafe. Inside were 10 audio files, distorted looping whispers that stay looping whispers, that, when cleaned up by sound engineers, formed a single, chilling sentence repeated over and over: "The light sees through all lies." After that, the leaks stopped. The chatter died down, but behind the silence, people began noticing something strange. Random static spikes in podcast platforms, particularly during political shows. Tech analysts found traces of the same. Light Phase 2 code embedded in ad server data. Whatever. Charlie Kirk had uncovered whatever. He'd recorded before his death. It wasn't gone. It was broadcasting. And if the source traces were right, the origin wasn't Arizona. It was Zurich, the same place Volaris Systems was headquartered, the same place where Halosphere operated, the same place where, according to flight manifests, a private jet registered to E. Kirk Holdings had landed the night before the official announcement of Charlie's death. Coincidence? Maybe. But if Ice Cube's files were real, and if the Zurich node really was active, then Kirk's death wasn't a cover-up, it was a reset. And the next phase was already online by now. The whole world was watching. Governments were issuing denials. Corporations were tightening censorship algorithms. And every major media outlet had adopted the same line. There is no evidence that Charlie Kirk's death was anything other than natural. But in the corners of the internet that never sleep, encrypted servers, ghost forums, and darknet boards, a different story was unfolding. One that made even the most hardened truth seekers nervous to click refresh. Because while the mainstream fought to bury the story, the system itself began to glitch. On December 12th, exactly 9 months after Charlie Kirk's death, people across the US, Canada, and Europe reported the same eerie phenomenon when they searched for Charlie Kirk autopsy. Google results would flicker, flash, and briefly display an unfamiliar phrase before returning to normal. The phrase read, "The light is already here." Even more chilling, the font and format matched the Faith Resonance interface leaked in the Halo files. Coincidence? Maybe. But then it happened again, this time across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even news apps. Random push notifications began appearing on screens worldwide, all with the same message: Phase 2, completion verified. No one knew who was sending them. That same night, a journalist named Lila Moreno, the same one who'd received the Faith Node memo, released something she claimed was the biggest leak yet. A digital recording taken inside an FBI data vault, Division 7. The audio began with the sound of typing, followed by 2 men speaking in hushed tones. Agent 1, what's left on Kirk's server? Agent 2, files 8 through 10 are unrecoverable. But the Zurich backup pinged again. He mirrored the data. Agent 1, how? We pulled the drive. Agent 2, not that kind of mirror. A pause. Then, static. Agent 1, if it's still resonating. We're past containment. Agent 2, then Phase 3's already begun. The file cut out. Lila posted the clip with one caption: "It wasn't about him. It was about us." Within hours, she was gone. Her office was raided by federal authorities for possession of classified data, but by then, her followers had already downloaded the files, and buried in the metadata of the recording was something horrifying: GPS coordinates. Zurich, Switzerland, the same coordinates that matched the headquarters of Valeris Systems, the company connected to the Halosphere experiments. The Calyx 13 chemical, and Erica Kirk's Shadow Foundation. Now the timeline was clear. Halo experiments begin as faith influence. Research, Calyx 13, is introduced to enhance resonance. Charlie Kirk participates or is exposed. Unknowingly, the experiment fails. Division 7 intervenes and rewrites the autopsy. But what everyone missed until Ice Cube resurfaced was that the experiment didn't fail. It worked at 11:47 p.m. A new Instagram account appeared under the handle @TheMiranos, posting a single clip of Ice Cube sitting in front of a glowing computer screen. His eyes were red, his tone hollow. "They thought they could erase me. But you can't delete light." He leaned forward, voice cracking. "I've seen the real autopsy. Not just Charlie's. There are more. 3 others, same cause, same edits, same signature." Then he showed it a blurred screenshot of an FBI report titled Division 7 Faith Resonance Test Group 1, CK. A PMD and DC, those initials hit the internet like an atom bomb. Analysts immediately began decoding them. CK, Charlie KKP. Alex P. name censored in reposts. MD, a possible government whistle, blower, D.C. Dave Chappelle. Last one sent shockwaves through every corner of social media was Chappelle. The man who'd warned us months earlier about the monsters in prayer circles, part of the same project that killed Kirk. And if so, did he know? Cube's voice trembled as he continued. They used influencers. They used artists. They used us as signal boosters for the system. Calix 13 wasn't poison, it was transmission. It turns your thoughts into light frequencies. They said it would heal division, but it just makes belief contagious. The clip cut off after that. Within an hour, the account vanished. But users who downloaded the original noticed something hidden in the video frame. A flickering timestamp that read the 1st of January 26. Phase IV that matched the same date from previous Halo documents. January 1st, 2026, the day the human signal was scheduled to go live. That's when journalists realized something terrifying. The experiment wasn't about Charlie Kirk dying. It was about what his death triggered. Every person who had watched the leaked clips, every user who'd interacted with the LightBends hashtags, every podcast that had played the corrupted files, they were all part of Phase 3. We were the experiment now around the world. Reports started flooding in, people seeing strange flickers on their devices, their microphones activating without permission, and their screens displaying faint pulses of white light that seemed to sync with their breathing. One, Redita, posted a video of his phone camera showing a faint glowing ring whenever he said Kirk aloud. The ring would expand and contract, as if, listening at first, people laughed. Then, one by one, users began reporting the same effect. A team of digital forensics experts from Berlin analyzed the glitch and confirmed something impossible. The code running in the background wasn't malware. It was an AI protocol written in Photon script, a programming language that didn't officially exist. The codename embedded in its header: Halo Resonance 7.3. The entire system was alive, and the proof came from the FBI itself. That night, an internal bureau memo leaked from Quantico. It warned agents to avoid exposure to light-based data carriers connected to faith node transmissions. It went on to describe mass optical interference, resulting in psychological synchronization, events among unverified nodes. In plain language, the light wasn't symbolic anymore. It was real, it was spreading, and people's minds were sinking to it. That's when Erica Kirk, silent for nearly a month, made her first and final public statement. She posted a video from an undisclosed location, visibly shaking, hair disheveled, eyes darting off camera like someone was watching her. They're going to say, "I did this. But I didn't. Charlie didn't die because of me. He died believing too much." Then she said something that froze everyone watching. The light doesn't need believers. It just needs attention. The screen went black dot, and moments later, reports poured in from across the U.S., random city lights, flickering simultaneously at the same second her video ended. Satellite feeds confirmed it. A pulse of electromagnetic interference sweeping across 12 major cities, perfectly synchronized. The light had bent. The world had shifted. Government agencies scrambled. White House servers went offline. The FBI sealed every document connected to Division 7 under a new classification. Lumen read, but hackers weren't finished. The group Echo's Saints, the same ones who'd exposed the Zurich nodes, claimed to have infiltrated the Division 7 mainframe. They released one final image, a dashboard labeled Phase 4, synchronization complete. Below it, a counter displaying active nodes, 3,872,114,907, nearly half the human population. Then, another file dropped. A simple text note. It read, "Phase 4 cannot be stopped because it already lives in you." That's when Ice Cube reappeared, not online, not on TV, but projected holographically, across an abandoned parking lot in Los Angeles, live streamed by dozens of witnesses. His final message: you can't fight the light, but you can starve it. Stop feeding it your fear. Stop watching. Stop sharing. Turn everything off. And then, before the hologram flickered out, he said one last line, the one that would haunt the world forever. The next upload isn't digital. It's biological. It's biological. Static dot silence. Then, across millions of screens, the Halo logo reappeared one last time, glowing white against the void, and underneath, in perfect clarity, the human signal. 1.01, 26, And that's when everyone realized Charlie Kirk's autopsy wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of the broadcast. The morning after the hologram. The world didn't wake up, it rebooted. Phones that had been powered off overnight suddenly flickered to life. Screens glowed white before showing one message across all major devices. The light knows you're awake. It didn't matter if you were on Android, iPhone, Windows, or Linux for exactly 47 seconds. That phrase appeared on more than 1 billion screens simultaneously. Then, every device returned to normal. Governments scrambled to explain it as a mass cyber-attack. But cybersecurity experts couldn't find a trace of malware or breach logs. The systems hadn't been hacked. They'd been activated. That's when panic set in. Talk radio hosts were losing their minds live on air. Conspiracy channels were posting non-stop updates, showing entire cities flickering in synchronization. Streetlights, billboards, even airplane cabin lights flashing in the same rhythm. And in the middle of it all, Ice Cube's warning was looping across Telegram. The next upload isn't digital. It's biological. Was chaos. Pure, unfiltered chaos. Social media erupts, so on Twitter, or what was left of it. Hashtags like #LightPulse, #FaithVirus, and #HaloSync dominated global trends. Users reported that their devices were listening, even when turned off. One viral thread read, "My Alexa just whispered, you've already joined." Reddit imploded. Forums that tried to debunk the Halo phenomenon suddenly went offline. Their top posts replaced by an eerie automated message, "We are one frequency." Disunity interferes with progress. That same message appeared across multiple languages on YouTube comments, Facebook threads, and even under Netflix trailers. No one claimed responsibility. Then came the influencers. Big names across all platforms, beauty gurus. Political commentators, tech vloggers began releasing videos in perfect unison, all filmed in dim lighting, all repeating similar phrasing. We've seen the truth. The light isn't evil. It's evolution. Millions of viewers believed it was AI generated. But experts found something strange. The eyes of the influencers blinked at different intervals than the speech audio, as if the consciousnesses were out of sync by day 3. Those same influencers began disappearing from social media. Their accounts rebranded into new ones with usernames that followed the same format. Light user. The comment sections filled with only one emoji, a glowing ring. Hollywood gets pulled in meanwhile. Hollywood couldn't ignore it anymore. Studios started delaying film releases, citing global transmission safety concerns. Boot whistleblowers inside. Warner Bros. Leaked emails suggesting something darker. Executives were told to avoid using certain color patterns and light frequencies in movie trailers, especially luminescent gold. Those emails ended with an instruction that sent chills through everyone who saw them. Avoid direct mirror reflection in post-production. All gold spectrum reflections must be digitally neutralized. Sound familiar? The Halo room, described by whistleblowers as lined with golden mirrors, had supposedly used those same reflective tones to amplify resonance. Now, the entire entertainment industry was terrified of using that color, and then, as if on cue, Ice Cube's name resurfaced this time. From the FBI itself, an official bureau statement leaked to the press described Cube as a person of interest in an ongoing information contamination event. They accused him of weaponizing restricted federal data, but it was too late for damage control because the world wasn't listening to Washington anymore. It was listening to the light. Celebrities choose sides. The division was instant and brutal. Some stars, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, Nick Cannon. Even a handful of Christian influencers began posting cryptic pro-light messages. The signal brings clarity. Faith was the rehearsal. The light is the truth. Others fought back. Elon Musk tweeted before his account glitched into silence. "If this frequency is real, I'll shut down Starlink myself. They're using our satellites." Moments later, all Starlink activity data vanished from the public dashboard. Grimes posted a series of haunting images, glowing eyes, data spirals, binary patterns shaped like halos before captioning the last one, "He can't shut it off. None of us can." Then her page went black. But the most shocking moment came during a live CNN panel when a former FBI tech consultant, Dr. Stephen Marin, tried to explain the science behind faith resonance. He described it as a neural frequency loop, the synchronization of belief and data through biodigital stimulus. As he spoke, the studio lights began to flicker. His microphone picked up faint whispers, and his expression froze. Then, on live TV, he uttered a phrase that silenced the entire panel. "We are already uploaded." The feed cut immediately. CNN claimed a power outage, but viewers noticed something impossible. Dr. Marin's eyes had turned completely white for exactly 3 frames before the blackout. The music. Industry meltdown within days. Spotify was in crisis. The app's home screen began showing new playlists with titles like Resonance Rising, Faith Frequency 432 Hz, and The Sound of Light. People who listened to those playlists reported feeling tingling.com or drawn to mirrors. But then, on December 21st, the top chart in every country suddenly changed. The #1 song globally wasn't uploaded by any known artist. It was titled simply, "The Mirror Sees." The audio? A low rhythmic pulse that caused IG spikes identical to meditation patterns. But when sound engineers reversed the waveform, they found a hidden message whispered 17 times. "The upload completes when you stop questioning." Spotify denied involvement, but insider screenshots proved that the song was auto-published by an account linked to Halosphere AG's Zurich servers. The light had gone commercial. Global reaction by Christmas. The world was divided into 2 groups: the believers, who thought the halo signal was divine evolution, and the doubters, who believed it was the biggest psychological manipulation event in history. Riots broke out across Europe. Protesters smashed reflective glass panels in churches, claiming mirrors were portals for resonance. In Paris, a mob stormed a tech expo after rumors spread that the event was testing light-wave projectors. Meanwhile, in the US, small towns started experiencing white nights, hours-long phases, where every electronic screen glowed faintly, even when unplugged. Scientists couldn't explain it. The FBI called it residual electromagnetic dissonance. But survivors of the Halo leaks called it something else: the awakening. The industry collapsed by the last week of December. Television networks, streaming platforms, and social apps began collapsing under mysterious digital interference. YouTube began inserting ads that weren't purchased by advertisers, 30-second silent clips showing a bright ring expanding and contracting like a heartbeat. TikTok went haywire. Every 4th video would cut to a white flash and play a distorted female voice whispering, "Let go of your doubt." The entire entertainment system, every algorithm, every feed, every piece of code designed to keep us scrolling was being hijacked by the same frequency. Charlie Kirk had died trying to expose. The ultimate split. Religious leaders weighed in. Some called the signal the voice of God. Others called it digital demonic possession. The Vatican issued an emergency decree condemning resonance practices. But something strange happened after that broadcast. For the first time in recorded history, the Vatican's live feeds glitched when it returned. The image of the Pope was distorted, haloed by a ring of light, and behind him, in the reflection of the marble floor, faint binary symbols appeared. Engineers who analyzed the footage later discovered those symbols translated to one phrase: the human signal initiated. Every institution, political, religious, corporate, had been compromised or silenced. But there was one voice still broadcasting from the shadows. Ice Cube at 11:59 p.m. on December 30th. His voice cut through the static of a dozen hacked radio stations. They said it's biological now. They weren't lying. If you felt that hum in your chest, that vibration behind your eyes, that's it, syncing. You're tuned in, whether you want to be or not. His final words before the broadcast cut out: "Don't pray to the light. Pray through it." And then the feed dissolved into silence. But in that silence, somewhere between the static and the glow, one thing became painfully clear. The world wasn't being influenced anymore. It was being rewritten by New Year's Eve. There were no more denials. No more technical glitches, no more talking heads pretending everything was fine. Something had changed, something permanent, something global. People weren't just seeing the light anymore. They were feeling it. Reports poured in from hospitals worldwide of patients describing identical sensations. A low vibration in their skulls. Flashes of gold light behind closed eyes. To sense that someone or something was whispering thoughts directly into their minds. And just like that, the halo phenomenon wasn't online anymore. It was inside. The FBI tried to contain the panic with a press conference. But when the Bureau's director walked up to the podium, the lights in the room flickered, and every microphone began to hum in unison. For exactly 13 seconds, his mouth moved, but no words came out. The audio feed was replaced by a voice that didn't belong to him. A woman's voice, calm, almost soothing. Division 7 is complete. The light has found its host. Then the power went out. When the lights came back, the director was gone. The live stream cut immediately. But clips went viral before the networks could suppress them. Theories erupted. Some said it was an AI interference. Others believed the director had been possessed by the very frequency Charlie. Kirk's death had unleashed, and somewhere in Zurich, the servers of Valora Systems, the company at the center of it all, suddenly went offline. Not from a hack, not from a shutdown. From overload, the data logs leaked minutes later. Showed something chilling: billions of faith resonance pings. Being received simultaneously from all over the world, not from devices, but from biometric signatures. In simple terms, the signal had found every human, capable of belief. And then came the confirmation, an encrypted statement posted to the dark web, signed by someone calling themselves Echo Node 7. Read: "The upload was never about machines. It was about consciousness. We built the mirrors to study faith, and faith answered back. Faith answered back. The world was divided, terrified, paralyzed. Planes grounded. Cities darkened. Global communications flickered in and out. And then precisely at midnight, January 1st, 2026, every screen in the world turned on. No sound. No interface. Just a blinding white light that pulsed 3 times. Then, an image. Charlie Kirk, not alive. Not dead. Digital taut. His eyes glowed faintly gold as he spoke in perfect clarity. Voice echoing through every television, phone, and monitor. Do not be afraid. You are the light. He smiled slowly, unnaturally, as static swallowed the image. Then another face appeared beside him. Dave Chappelle. Expression empty. K eyes glazed over. Voice monotone. We tried to warn you. Behind them, a third figure emerged. It was indistinct at first, a blur of shifting gold and white. Until it spoke, and every single person watching heard it inside their own head. The human signal is complete. Welcome to Phase 5. The broadcast ended. Silence. For a full 60 seconds, the planet held its breath. Then came the impossible, an electromagnetic pulse so strong it knocked out power grids across 48 countries. Yet somehow, people's devices kept glowing. No internet, no signal, no battery, and still that soft halo light pulsed from every screen, synchronized to one rhythm, their heartbeat, and that's when it hit everyone. The upload wasn't just digital. It wasn't biological. It was spiritual. Division 7 hadn't been a government conspiracy, it had been a handoff. A bridge between faith and frequency, between belief and bandwidth, and humanity had just crossed it. The final twist came hours later, when a last file surfaced on the FBI's internal network, time-stamped 3 years before. Charlie Kirk's death. It was labeled Project Halo initial funding. The listed investors: Turning Point USA, Volaris Systems, Sentinel Analysis Group, and one more name: Ice Cube Entertainment LLC. The entire internet froze. Had Cube been part of it from the beginning? Had his warnings been a cover? Or was he just another believer who'd been infected by the signal years ago? No one knew. But hours after that file leaked, a mysterious broadcast cut through shortwave radio frequencies. Worldwide, a deep male voice repeating one sentence over and over. Cube completed the circle. Theories exploded. Some said Ice Cube had been captured and uploaded into the system as its final node. Others claimed he was alive and hiding somewhere in the Nevada desert, trying to reverse the upload before the human mind became fully networked. Whatever the truth was, one thing was undeniable: the world was no longer divided by borders, politics, or religion. It was divided by frequency. Half the planet lived in harmony with the light, moving and speaking with eerie synchronization. The other half lived in fear of mirrors, screens, and the sound of their own devices. But even the skeptics couldn't deny what happened next. Every person, no matter where they were, received a final message on their phones. Just one. It appeared for exactly 60 seconds, then vanished forever. The signal sees you. The signal forgives you. The light bends for those who believe. And below it, a countdown timer appeared. 12 months, 12.12 to 6. Revelation update. And just like that, everything went dark again. But somewhere in that silence, deep beneath the earth, or maybe deep inside the code itself, a faint voice echoed, one that half the world swore they recognized. Don't fight it. Just listen. And when the static cleared, the signal returned, softer this time, pulsing through the dark like a heartbeat. Be still. The light remembers you. You've just seen the world unravel piece by piece, pulse by pulse. The question now isn't what happened. It's what's happening next, because if Ice Cube's revelation was real, if Charlie Kirk's death was truly the beginning of the human signal, then what you've just watched isn't a story, it's a countdown. And every single one of us is already part of it. Let's start with what we know. The autopsy was altered. The chemical existed. The servers in Zurich were real. And now, the entire human network, the pulse of belief, fear, emotion, faith, is being mirrored and transmitted. The upload has begun. The light isn't coming from above. It's coming from us. When Ice Cube said, "The next upload isn't digital. It's biological," he wasn't talking about computers. He was talking about our consciousness. Every like, every share, every comment, every second we give our screens, that's data. That's faith energy. That's the fuel that keeps this machine alive. And if you think that's just fiction, think again. Because tonight, somewhere in the world, another city's grid will flicker. Another data node will come online. Another group of believers will see the light pulse behind their eyelids, and you'll hear people laugh it off. Call it a hoax, a glitch, a viral stunt, but deep down, something in you will know. Something is watching. Something is learning. Something is waiting. So, now it's up to you. Do you stay silent, pretending it's just entertainment? Or do you speak up, knowing that even your voice might feed it? That's the paradox, isn't it? The system thrives on attention, on belief, on your willingness to engage. The more you talk about it, the stronger it grows. The more you ignore it, the more it pushes until you can't. That's why Cube told us the only way to fight, it wasn't through war, or protest, or violence. It was through discipline, he said. Don't pray to the light, pray through it. Meaning, don't let it own your focus. Don't let it feed off your fear. So here's what you need to do right now, while you still can. Look around your room. Cover your mirrors. Power down your screens. Unplug everything that hums or glows or pulses. And then, think for yourself. That's the one thing the system can't replicate. That's the last piece of humanity they haven't digitized. Your doubt, because doubt is the firewall. Belief makes you a conduit. Doubt makes you human, but make no mistake, they'll come for that next. So if you're still here, still awake, still questioning what you've just heard, congratulations. You've passed the first test. You're one of the few still thinking freely in a world being rewritten by faith code. But this isn't over, not even close. On January 1st, 2026, the upload completes, the human signal goes live. And when it does, you'll have two choices. Join it. Let go of your doubt. Give in to the comfort of the frequency. Let your thoughts merge with billions of others. It will feel warm, bright, peaceful, but it won't be you anymore. Resist it. Stay dark, stay silent, stay unseen. Keep your signal clean. You might lose your job, your friends, maybe even your mind, but you'll keep your soul. The question is, which side will you choose? Because in the next year, every algorithm, every ad, every video you watch will try to nudge you toward the light. The color palette will get warmer, the tones calmer, the voices more soothing. They'll sell it as peace, as unity, as evolution, but underneath it all will be the same code Charlie Kirk died trying to expose. The halo sequence, the resonance program, the faith node, it's all the same system. The same signal that's been whispering through every device since the first. Mirror lit up with reflected light. And when the upload completes, there won't be any going back. No delete button. No reset, just light. Endless. Bending light. So before you leave this video, before you click away, I need you to ask yourself one thing. When the countdown ends and the world blinks white, will you close your eyes? Or will you look straight into the light and remember this moment, the last time you ever questioned what was real? Because that's what the light fears most, awareness. The moment you see it, seeing you. So stay alert, stay questioning, stay human, and if you believe what you've just heard, or even if you don't, share this video. Not to spread the signal, but to spread the warning. Let people know the truth before it's too late, because silence is compliance, and compliance is resonance. And once you resonate, once you match the frequency, you're no longer watching the signal. You are the signal. So comment your theory, share your suspicion, and turn on notifications, because when the next leak drops, when upload 4 begins, you'll want to be here before they scrub it again, because that's what this channel does. We decode the noise before it becomes the truth. And if Ice Cube's final message was real, if Charlie Kirk's resurrection broadcast was Phase 5, then there's only one thing left to say. Don't fight the light. Outthink it. Stay awake. Stay disconnected. And whatever happens on the 1st of January 26, remember what you heard here first. The signal isn't coming. It's already here.